Today's workshop is securing critical infrastructure in hybrid cloud, how SafePC Solutions, Microsoft, and Fortinet can help. Our agenda, I want to introduce who SafePC Solutions is. I think when we started kicking out this webinar series, a lot of people know that this was a Microsoft initiative. This is a Microsoft partner-led initiative. And as a partner, things are done just a little bit differently, and I think Microsoft and Fortinet realizes you need to have things driven at a partner level in order to truly provide solutions versus things being so vendor focused, that type of thing. So who we are, SafePC Solutions, we are a leading technology provider that is focused on application development, cloud computing, and IT security compliance as it relates to the S framework and CMMC. And so basically, we really work on solving challenges that our clients have faced. Traditionally, and we still are very much heavily an MSP. However, we started focusing more on data backup, cloud computing, security, but even on the application development space. We had a meeting just yesterday where a client has an AI solution, and now getting that AI solution into Azure Cloud. How do we migrate that from a traditional on-prem Windows server to the cloud? Because we all know that AI is one of the most revolutionary technologies. And also, during the tour of the Technology Innovation Center, they're going to be showing you the HoloLens and some of the advancements that Microsoft is doing in AI. The other thing too is that as SafePC Solutions has advanced, about 3 years ago, I launched SafePC Cloud to focus more on the data backup and compliance. And then 2 years ago, really to bridge the digital divide, I focused on creating the IT certifications, focusing mainly on women and minorities. And again, as Dean Robert Leach mentioned, the Accelerate Atlanta initiative. So basically, we go from as low as digital literacy to as high as intro to cybersecurity. Because basically, we're really trying to just trying to bridge that digital divide. We are also a member of the Cybersecurity Tech Accord. It's a Microsoft-led organization. And I know Corey's going to talk a little bit further about the Microsoft Security Intelligence Association, which Fortinet is a member, but a lot of the independent software vendors or ISVs are members of that. But basically, it is about us always reporting a vulnerability. And that's one of the growth areas right now, along with the CMMC and this framework, is really how do we manage the vulnerabilities, how do we scan the vulnerabilities, but also how do we develop strategies to mitigate risk. And that's how we got to the FortiSAS solution that I'm going to have, Ebony kind of talk about a little bit today. So I just really wanted to make sure people understood kind of, who we are. And just real quickly, our core service began as a leading CSP for Microsoft. We were heavily involved in the digital transformation. I'm going to go into that about kind of how we work heavily with, Microsoft 365 and even how me and Van Williton were collaborating on this PowerPoint at the final hour. But through collaboration, it improves productivity and overall flows of business processes. In our research, we're finding a lot of the institutions have Microsoft 365, however, it is underutilized, it's not fully utilized. And a lot of times, we're offering complimentary training services to get the staff up to speed on how to utilize Microsoft 365. The other thing, again, data backup and business continuity planning. That's why we also are a Google Cloud partner, and through PAX8, we work heavily with AWS because some of our clients do require us not only to have Azure, but also to have multiple cloud strategies for redundancy. And then again, on the compliance, the network security solutions, identity access management, which I'm not going to go into a lot about, but that's around just that single sign-on and also us, which is also a part of Zero Trust as well. But then more importantly, I guess one of my passions is workforce development. I'm very rare as a African American woman that leads a technology company because it's not a lot of us out there, number one, but also we are making really good strides, in the Bay Area in California, as well as in the metro area around really bridging STEM and also providing online training platforms for these institutions as well. So our partners again, Microsoft, Fortinet, OpenText, which acquired Carbonite, Synology, which is another data backup solution partner, InfoSec, which offers a really great broad cybersecurity awareness platform, PAX8, AWS, Google, and then Certiport. At Certiport, we are one of the authorized testing centers here in Atlanta where we manage students remotely. We can also do that in person, but also as they complete their certifications, either in Microsoft, EC through cybersecurity, as well as ICT and digital literacy as well. And one of the things that we are also focusing heavily in partnership with both Microsoft and Fortinet is how do we close that cybersecurity skill gap? A lot of our discussions, a lot of what we have been, the challenges I think a lot of these institutions are facing is it's one thing they have to educate the students and the faculty, but also the staff. Is getting their staff up to speed on cybersecurity, but then also us trying to get more workforce into cybersecurity as well. So as you can see, right now, 87% of enterprise IT security pros and reskill gaps has a real impact on the organization. It's impacting it now, and it truly impacted during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, this is a big problem that we have, and including in the vendor community.
Yes.
We're actually having to go to colleges and universities. Definitely like to talk to you folks about doing the same thing, but we're having to find these kids that are freshmen, sophomores, and getting them to sway to information technology or cybersecurity curriculum, and we're actually paying for their tuition. Kenzie, our CEO, I think you guys can share some of this. There's a big move around this within the U.S. and the world. We just cannot find knowledgeable, experienced people. And when you find some of the younger folks, they're good, but they're not so good at troubleshooting.
Yeah.
But if they've done it earlier through that curve, we can get them up to a very mature level. But this is a big problem for us right now in the industry. I don't think about us.
Yes, I agree.
I think maybe just one more thing to add to that is the kind of flip side that we're doing as well, which is very good people being approached and leaving places that, maybe currently have access to those skills. But because in some scenarios, I've heard the value of that skill set now, more people are kind of shopping around. So we have this interesting challenge. We can't manufacture enough people that have the skills that are coming into the pipeline, but they also have a lot of this transitive movement happening, across the industry. So I would definitely say it's an area where we're trying to tap into non-traditional ways to produce curriculum, to develop those that will be extremely successful. I know oftentimes you hear about going after more diverse skill sets. But there's people who are coming from sociology backgrounds, psychology backgrounds, economics backgrounds, but don't really have a traverse into the digital arena, but in many cases they have that skill set that's core to being able to help with risk management and some of these other areas. So we don't see it kind of slowing down. However, there's active movement to try to really improve.
And where I see the future of HBCU and the technical community college transformation, and I think a lot of this of Atlanta Tech, because Atlanta Tech, which is predominantly African American, even though it is not an HBCU, it is focusing on building that secure IT infrastructure educating staff and students on cybersecurity awareness. But also the challenge when we talk to the IT staff at HBCUs and these technical community colleges is that their own staff is lagging in the cybersecurity knowledge and really what to do. And also the CISOs, which is the Chief Information Security Officer, they're new. They only have been put into the organization within the last couple of years, or they have not, or they don't even have a CISO as of yet. However, they have a consultant there, they have some type of chief technology officer that is really trying to get them to that, at least say, security staff. And it's becoming a huge challenge. Now, where we see the growth right now is the online training programs, the certification programs, and the research and development initiatives. But let me tell you, in this grant coming out for NIH, for the leading medical institutions like Morehouse School of Medicine, McGarry, Xavier, they have to have separate secure networks. There has to be a separate secure network for the online training program versus the network for the staff, versus the network for the students, versus the network for the adult education that come in the evening and take the IT certification programs. So they have to have 3 to 4 different secure networks. They don't have to be friends anymore. They can all be in the cloud. But they have to be separate. And if you look at HBCUs, some of the community technical colleges are lagging behind. I know. And the good thing is Corey's gonna go a little bit further into that. He's gonna go. I'm gonna leave a little bit for that for Corey, because he's gonna go a little bit into detail on that as well. Again, you know, NIH is not just giving out $100 million just to say, I need this. If we're gonna give it out, we need this secure, and you'd be surprised how they're not. So real quickly, I just want to highlight some clients of mine. And whatever you okay. I think we're in the middle of switching pictures, so I think that's fine. Sorry. Ebony Smith, who owns Ebony on the Equation. She's a faculty member and fellow at Florida International University Center for Leadership. Right now, we're doing our CMMC, NIST framework compliance. She has moved to Microsoft 365 E5, and education is known as A5. That's the highest security framework. She currently has OpenText Carbonite and the FortiSAS cloud-based security network. We're in the process. We haven't fully implemented it yet, but we are in the process now of getting that set up. So every employee, every contractor, every consultant will log on a secure network. So you want to share a few thoughts?
For me, as a small business, I did it because it's one of the differentiators for us. And so as we work with financial services clients, and then also we have a contract doing work inside of our treasury department, the United States government. It's one of the things that they're looking for. And so when I'm thinking like, oh, what are the things I can do to make myself a more attractive partner to our potential clients? Getting ahead of the requirements is one of those things. I also do coaching for a fintech company, and as part of their ESG, which we now know is often affecting first, they wanted all of this stuff that I didn't have 2 years ago when I got vendorized, but I wanted to put a roadmap in place to help them do that. And so that's what I was reached out to the team and say, hey, I want to lay into I know that I have to become a chief security officer. You know, I really don't know anything. And so her and the team have been helpful with us in getting our policies written. And hopefully we'll be CMMC level 2 in the second quarter. That will apply for our certification and things like that. So that's been the process for us. And that was the main reason, like, I want to secure the company data, but I also want people to know that, hey, we're a good partner. And we're a come to us for services.
Exactly. And again, it's also not only being a good partner, but also it will increase your revenue overall. And it will also increase the revenue of these institutions as well.
I think you might be asking a question. So there's a lot of compliance portions that are up here, right? So I mean, just looking at requirements, obviously, CMC is a big requirement, it's not just the standard is CSF. Well, one of the things, I guess, question for you is, can you speak since you're an active fellow and also you're working in small business? Can you how easy was it? You there's so many technologies there, there's others that are there, but he talked that the ease of that how the technology helped with the people process side of it, because I think when we're talking higher ed, I talk to higher ed folks a lot of times, it's almost so nebulous. But you just have not just three, but in the case of one, these three solutions have made it easier for everyone. Can you maybe go and like talk a little bit more on that?
I think it's, we did weekly meetings at one point, with Madinah's team. Well, you know, we need to meet this week so I can make sure we stay on our timeline. And so it was the ease of, one, having a good partner that was walking us through it. But then two, realizing like, when we switched over to E5, because we didn't own our data, we just like, we don't own your data, we need to own your data. For us switching over to E5, we had built out our team's structure so complicated for her team going, wow, we've never seen it this detailed, because we spent a lot of time when we were locked in building out teams and SharePoint sites so that we could access our data quickly. So when we did the switch over, like that was one of our big things. It's like, oh, I wish I'd known about this when we spent all that time during lockdown building out our SharePoint site that we should have gone in. So we were able to do the switch over. It probably took us 2 or 3 weeks to make sure the redundancy was there. We double checked everything overnight, making sure we had the policies that were in place. But for us, it was fairly easy. And some of those things only took like an hour, maybe 2 hours to switch over on some of the backups. But also making sure we had all the policies in place. And so that was a big part for us and the checklist. And then also me doing the policy reviews. And so we just had to set up for either quarterly or every 6 months as a part of our review, me and one other person on our team doing the policy reviews. And that part was fairly easy, but it's complicated, but not really, especially if we're going through the checklist right now. We get a certain amount of questions that we kind of know what our average is, and so as we kind of chunk through it, it wasn't as difficult as I thought, honestly. And then we needed policy written for our CMC level 2. We either grab a screenshot from the E5 license, which has been helpful, or we go to our partner and back up so that we can say, hey, this is the way the data is being tracked, this is how we can be notified. Because Madinah called me, she's like, hey, so you just lost a whole chunk of data, what happened over the weekend? I said, I cleaned up my files, and she was like, okay, your numbers went down. I just wanted you to know it popped up for us on a Saturday. I was like, that's me cleaning up our files. She goes, that was the monitoring piece, right? And so I, of course, didn't think about that, but for them, it was an alert to trigger them to call me to say, what's going on with your, I'm like, I'm cleaning up a bunch of video files, and you know I'm data heavy. She always said that you're super data heavy, because we're a training company, so all our stuff in PowerPoint are just in massive files. Yeah. And so she noticed that. So that part was easy, and then also it was great to know that she could see the compliance piece, and we worked overnight to shift some things around in her own initiatives. Hopefully they answered your question.
Mine was open.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Okay, after that.
Like you said, you want to do that, and so being able to create all of that that you need for the plus one.
It was easy, yeah, it really was easy. And we have our nomenclature for our internal SharePoint sites
Right,
are very specific to us, because when we built it, we worked with a consultant
right.
so that we could find data easier. And so that's really the part that was really easy for us in using the SharePoint sites. And then really we wanted to integrate teams better.
Right.
Because we were paying for technology, and I was like, Madinah, I have this full tech stack. I don't think I'm using it to its full capabilities. Tell me the pieces that you think are missing that can help our business flow easier. And that's the piece that we were really talking about. She's like, oh wow, so you guys just need to add some of these things, and we actually hired somebody that coaches us through it to set it up the right way. Do one-on-one sessions.
Well, I think that's one of the things that we are really want to have from Microsoft standpoint is to make sure that people understand that it's not complicated.
Exactly.
That it is an easy process. Okay, go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, and actually, I'm glad you were talking, because I need to make well, even though I want to take.
So, yeah, I think that's great to know because a lot of people think it's difficult for them to manage and be able to do the things that they need to do. And I think that's what we're getting into, creating some of those demos, so able to show people this is really not that difficult.
So that's the piece I was gonna add, the work we do is around process, people are just excellent, very simple. When you keep the process simple, people actually change their behavior. And then it's easier to be compliant, because people know, one, it's not that complicated, and then two, this is the reason why. That's the other reason for her, we're setting up a policy, so people understand why this is necessary. So the process, the policy.
Those testimonials are great.
Yeah, no, it was really simple. We picked one IT infrastructure thing to do every 6 months, right? And so, last year it was full integration of our team's product and tech stack and doing the E5. And then this year it's really around getting us to the CMC level 2, just because there's larger contracts we want to go after. And so those kind of compliance things would make us more attractive for some of the different types.
I think you're excited about the pieces go to show you that. Leslie, usually, I'll say usually not always, because different nations are hard, but it's usually the enemy spirit, right? And that's the construct of compliance is like how you actually reach it and get the people process of capture. It sounds like you have I wouldn't hear more about all those people that are going down that path. And also there's people for someone, hey, it's not one. So how does I'm doing all you? Hey, that's fine.
Well, let me tell you, she's gonna be the first case study for SafePC Microsoft. Yeah.
3 weeks.
Well,
Excuse me,
your
sir.
team is,
Okay.
I also, we put it in there and you're already on it. I mean,
So I'm at SE's got.
they already, they're waiting on me right now. They're like, hey, they're ready to go and, see where it's coming.
But it was a plan, like, okay, this is our day, we're gonna do the cutover. We talked about it for a while, we built the plan. We're gonna cut over during this time period, and then we'll cut off our data access with the 2 week overlap on our other servers. So that we can ensure that everything's still present. We didn't experience the data loss. I backed up lots of things outside of the process, just because I didn't understand it for so long. But it was an easy process for it, it honestly was. So we're in the process of that right now for CMC level 2, yeah. But we got to level 1 and we're finishing our questionnaire piece and ensuring that we have all of the SOPs. So a big chunk of us getting the final part for level 2 is making sure that we have full integration for them so that we can put our application in and get our certification. That's our main goal, is getting our certification.
Okay, so.
Yes, Sassy is another Gardner thing, They gotta have Sassy. So there's necessary people and security staff to act as well.
Okay, you all, I know that we just have had Morehouse, Alabama State, and Morris Brown joining us virtually. But we are gonna introduce everyone, thank you all for coming. But I wanted to stay on schedule. Right now, we have the opportunity to do a network security assessment with Allen University and also an email security assessment. This is Rick Harrison, the senior network engineer, and he is going to also talk about his experience. And we also have the opportunity, Jenny here, we actually, once we did the assessment, we came on site. And we're developing his security plan and really now putting together the proposal. And both TJ and Mike are gonna talk about that security roadmap, that security journey, a little bit later. And that's why I want us to kind of do our best to stay on schedule, because I know we have the site visits and meetings and all that today as well. But thank you so much, Rick. I'm gonna turn it over to you, and take it over now.
All right, thanks again, Madinah. Like I said, sorry I couldn't make it to Atlanta, but I'm glad to be a part of this workshop. As Madinah was saying, I've been in Allen for about, could be 3 years in July, and one of the things I was asking when I was interviewing was their security posture. Prior to me getting on board, the university suffered a ransomware attack, and from what I can see, the only change they really made was switching, firewall providers. So it's almost as comparable as switching insurance providers. And I said to myself, that wasn't really nowhere near enough to secure the school's network. And so one of the things I've been championing since I've been here is, one of the first things I was championing was looking at doing some sort of vulnerability assessments for the network, looking at our Wi-Fi, doing some type of site survey, because I know that there was a lot of areas on campus that didn't have coverage. And so a lot of those things, kind of got pushed aside when our new VP came on board. But how this whole process started quickly was one day I was in my office and I received a call from LaShonda Marshall from Microsoft, and her and I got on the phone and talked. And I just kind of talked about some of the things we were doing here in Allen. One of the things quickly, we're partnering with Cisco. We've introduced a lot of security tools in our environment. So now I'm in the process of actually learning how to manage them when we get alerts. That's one piece. We also are going through a network refresh. So we partnered with a company called Withrove. They have already installed 2 new core switches for us, as well as another monitoring tool. We also have another network monitoring tool called ThousandEyes, which is in the cloud, which has been implemented. But I tell you, I was very, very impressed when I talked to Madinah regarding the whole portfolio. And so one of the things they did, one of the first things we did, as she said, is we did a network assessment. So I worked with the team. We got the device sent to Allen. We got it configured. And I kind of knew that we would find a whole lot of vulnerabilities. It was just mind blowing, but I was kind of prepared for that. But I tell you, one of the things that really stood out was when Madinah and her team from was Microsoft, they coordinated all, came on site, was when we did the email assessment. And right now we don't have our email on the site. It's basically the cloud, Office 365. And I knew pretty much that we only had the basic security, which is pretty much nothing. And so once we kicked off that email assessment, one of the guys from Portland, I can't remember his name, was telling me that we have over about 70% of spam coming into our network, which makes sense because we have no way of blocking it. So definitely, I'm excited and looking forward to Allen partnering with SafePC Solutions as well as Fortinet to secure our university and our network.
And the other thing too, we're gonna separate their groups. So we're gonna separate it from the students and the faculty. And then also, they're gonna be creating an online training. So right now, they're at 670 students, but their online training program will get them to 1,000 students. Mm-hmm. So it's important that you look at this as an investment in your infrastructure. Because you know that online training is gonna increase revenue and bottom line. So it's gonna pay for your investment.
So they have secure curriculum access,
Exactly.
which is revenue.
Yes, revenue, yeah.
Revenue.
So those are the types of things that we're helping them, build on the case study. And then Mike's gonna also, as I said this afternoon, talk about all of the grant funding that's available to cover these technology investments. But we also have to stop looking at technology as a cost, but more as an investment. And that's gonna definitely improve your bottom. So, as we wrap up, I know we're gonna turn this over now to Corey Lee. And Corey is gonna gonna really go into modern, secure. I will send you all some information on, digital transformation, my thoughts a little bit. But just real briefly, I think everybody is familiar with Microsoft 365 and how we have to make it more effective. So right now, we are working individually with the institutions and offering the Microsoft 365 training, which involves digital transformation.
Madinah, are there any questions for Rick?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Rick. Yes, if you can, does anyone have any questions, or Alabama State back there, Robert Leach, Atlanta Tech, do y'all have any questions? I know Morehouse is on there doing a lot of good in that right now. But any questions from the people that are joining us remotely? We have Todd Blackburn from Morris Brown.
Yes, I was listening to Mr. Harrison talking about his experiences up at Allen. We probably are in basically the same situation or slightly different because, basically we have a small student population, but we are just kind of coming back. So we are basically starting at zero. And probably just have some of the basic, because we have Microsoft 365 also, but that's, in the cloud. But we are probably at the bottom.
Okay. I know right now, John is setting up some appointments with you all for me to come by campus as well.
Yeah, so his question in the chat was, what resources are available for an institution that is basically at zero? That was my question. I don't know.
Well, that's a very good question. First of all, I think an institution that's starting at zero is even at a highly competitive advantage, to be honest with you. Because guess what? We don't have a whole lot of old legacy technology we're dealing with. You're already in the cloud. Morris Brown, and just so you all know, I don't want to belabor on this discussion, but Morris Brown is a very important historically Black college institution because they're known for education. They have pretty much educated a lot of the Black educators in the Southeastern region. A lot of them went to Morris Brown. They have already moved their platform to online training. So to me, when you're starting at zero, and I know that, and also another thing too, they have been getting a lot of funding and support because, Biden and the administration realized that Morris Brown is important because they teach the educators. And these educators go into communities that are unserved, early childhood, elementary, high school, and the African American community. So for me to start at zero, you're already in the cloud. We just need to then build secure frameworks. We need to build one for the online training institution. We realize some students they do want to come back on campus, and I know they're remodeling some of the buildings. So we just need to make sure we set up separate networks for those environments. But for me, I think Morris Brown is very well placed because you're gonna now be able to invest in new technologies, and then also because of where you are strategically located and because you all want to get heavily back into the adult education and workforce development, I think you're also well positioned to then, in other words, I think as we separate the networks, we also need to look at how we, increase the revenue stream as well. From we're starting from zero, but also that's okay. Does that clarify? Yeah. Okay. And
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Hey, Todd, explain something about your gaming programs, the gaming degree, and how we can help secure your.
Oh yeah, the metaverse.
Yes, with the technology that we do have, we have esports programming degree. and also certificate program with esports. That is something that's new and innovative that we have going on. We have an esports lab. I don't know if some of you have been following it. So that has served those students that would like to go into esports or gaming arena, but we wanted to teach them that it's just more than gaming. We teach coding, working to get I think it was Apple coding. We're teaching to our students, they get certificates in that. And then with the gaming program, they get certificates. We're working with a number of high schools that are in the area because we found out that gaming is very popular. And so we have a lot of students, well, some students, I'm not gonna say a lot, but many of our students are coming for that programming because they're getting the behind the scenes part of gaming and building their own gaming platforms. So they're getting that education to do that.
And I'll just add something to that. You'll probably can share this as part of the attendance for the event, but recently, as part of the esports ecosystem, they just had a curriculum released specifically regarding developing esports programs as well as introducing things like the free tools called Encode. It's themed after Black Panther, which is kind of a marketing spiel and happening right now, where you can essentially bring in Black Panther themed esports curriculum into the school and kind of build around that as part of the various efforts in place. So
Yeah, this past week, the girls, we built the code from the concept of the Microsoft app. So they are building the video. So that's one of the coding exercises that we do.
Yeah. So obviously there's a security spin to that too, as we described, right? In comes the metaverse, in comes gaming. Right now, when you think about what exactly are we doing about security and gaming infrastructure or surrounding elements that hook into that, and that is gaming is both a learning tool, but we also find that gaming develops that critical thinking skill that also supports people who typically are very strong in security space.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Cool.
So,
All right.